Hi, everybody, and welcome to Love Your Midlife. I'm so glad that you're here. If you are here for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you enjoy what we're going to talk about today. If you are a subscriber to my channel, thank you so much. I'm very appreciative, and I hope that you'll stay with me on this journey. I have some other playlists down below. I have a 30-day body image challenge, which is super cool. It can totally change the way that you look at your body, which is incredibly important. I have a dating playlist if you're out there dating at this time in your life. A few tips, some advice you might find helpful. And I also have started a mini midlife meditation playlist because I think meditation is incredibly important. Also, if you are in your car or somewhere like that, check out my Your Dreamy Midlife podcast on Apple and Spotify, and a lot of really good stuff there that may help you, or if you are looking for some answers, maybe that'll help you. So I'm really glad that you're here today. Welcome, my beautiful friends, to Your Dreamy Midlife podcast. If you are struggling with the empty nest syndrome, then I hope that you will stick around today. We're going to talk about some answers and some things that we can look for. Also, I hope that you will check out my YouTube channel. I Love Your Midlife, lots of videos on there. I'm on Instagram. I have a Facebook group where we get together and try to support each other and talk about some really interesting things. So if any of that is of interest to you, I would love for you to check that out. Also, if you are curious about a private coaching call, then I really hope that you will email me. I would love to have a 30-minute discovery call with you, see if there's anything I can help you with, or possibly even have a mentoring or a coaching session. So don't forget about that. That can be really powerful. Well, I don't know if you're dealing with the empty nest syndrome, but a lot of people are this time of year. And I know for me, it was huge. And a lot of people know that I had 6 children. And so you wouldn't think it would be a big deal if one of them was just moving out. But it really was a big deal, and he was the baby, he was the youngest. So I hope that you'll stay with me today. We're going to talk about some tips and suggestions on how to deal with the empty nest syndrome. So for me, it was really hard. I was crying. I'm not going to lie. I was very stressed out when my youngest, Sam, went off to college. So after having 6 children, I always had little feet under my table. I always had beds to change. I always had bigger meals to prepare. And all of a sudden, he went off to college, and I was like, oh my gosh, what happened to my life? It felt like somebody pulled the rug out from under my life. And a lot of my identity was wrapped around having children, being a mom, carpooling, going here, going there, always making sure everybody had clothes and food and all kinds of stuff, all the activities. And so when our children either go to boarding school in high school or go off to college, it really does kind of rock our world. And so many women, men too, but I'm just going to talk about women today. So many women today really struggle and even become depressed. It can just be the biggest life change for so many of us. How do we deal with the empty nest syndrome, and how do we make that okay? There are a lot of parents that are absolutely fine with it. They're really ready for their kids to move out and go to college. And having a bigger family, there were children that I knew were very ready to move out and go to college, and it wasn't as hard. And then having the baby move out and go to college was definitely a little bit harder for me, um, because he was around so much of the time. It's not unusual at all to experience fear. It's not unusual at all to experience sadness, loss, grief. It really is a big time in our lives, and it's not unusual at all to feel any of that. So if anybody's struggling with, why do I feel this way? That's completely normal. That's very normal. Let's talk about 10 ways that we can deal with the empty nest syndrome and maybe turn it around a little bit, make it a little bit more positive, maybe have a different perspective. When we bring our children home, we know that we're not going to keep them forever, right? When we bring them home from the hospital or when we have children, we're very aware that they are going to grow up someday. And so this is just a natural process. It doesn't make it any easier. It's still really painful, but we are aware of that and we have to remind ourselves of that sometimes. I would say number one, be very patient with yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Why has it been a week and I'm still crying? You know what? It's okay. You have a great loss in your life with your child moving away and going to college. That's completely normal. Some people cry for a day, some people cry for a week. I know for me, if I went in my son's room, that was a huge trigger for me, and I would automatically start crying. So you can either hang out in your child's room or not. You can either deal with the triggers when they come up or not, whatever works best for you. It worked better for me eventually to avoid the triggers, his room, his laundry, his things, and kind of wait for him to come back when he did come back home. And that's when I would deal with those types of things. So know that this is a huge adjustment for you and give yourself grace and love and be kind to yourself and let other people know that yes, you're struggling. Yes, you're having a hard time. That's okay. It's okay to let people know that. One thing that really helped me, so my son is actually in his junior year of school. The first year is the hardest without question. I was sad. I'm not going to lie. I was sad for months. And then it became weeks. And now it's kind of gotten more into days. Now he does come home on the holidays and things like that. So that makes it easier. Some children don't. Some children do. Some children go away for a while and come back. There's so many different scenarios out there. But if you're suffering from the loss, you're suffering from the loss. It doesn't matter how long it is or where they go to school or any of those kinds of things. Let's just be honest, the cord has been cut and we will have a different relationship with our child as they become an adult and they become responsible and they're out there in the world and making decisions. One thing that really helped me was my husband looked at me and said, let's go somewhere for the day after we dropped him off. That is really good. So a change of scenery could really help you. Whether you go somewhere with your partner, your husband, a girlfriend, it's a really good idea to make some plans and go get a change of scenery. That helps a lot. Going back to the house and being sad and sulking or going back in their room, that's going to kind of make it worse. So we would do that, and we still do that when we drop him off. We go have dinner, we go somewhere, we try to get a fresh perspective, and we don't really dwell on all the negative stuff. We try to think of more of the positive stuff that's going on. And like I said, it's a little bit easier as time goes on. The first year was definitely the worst, right? That makes sense. Making some special plans or going away around that same time could be really helpful for you. The other thing is look at it as maybe a special time you could rebond with your partner or your husband and say, wow, what's something new that we could start doing? You're going to have a new life without your child in your life day to day. That's a fact. You're going to have a different life. So could you rebond with your mate your partner, your husband, whatever, and maybe go do something with them. Maybe try a new hobby. Maybe pick up kayaking or canoeing or something where you live. And that might be a really, really great distraction, especially in the beginning. The other thing is, don't forget how important it is to reconnect with you. Who are you now? What's important to you? What do you love to do? Do you want to do something different? Do you want your life to change now that you're not a day-to-day mom, taking care of your child day to day? That's a really important thing that you could look at. And for me, I actually wanted to start doing something different. And I got into helping women and I got into coaching. And for some women, it's like, I don't want anything. I just want to retire, I want to relax. Some women are still in their careers, in their jobs, but make sure that you reconnect with you and you're doing self-care and self-love. And what do you need? I would say, what do you need, Darcy? What do you need now? So much of my love and my affection came from having my children around me. So I really had to focus on, where am I going to get that now? How am I going to get that from me? Not from somebody else, but where is it going to come from inside of me? How can I bring that back into my life and give that to me? And that's a gift that we could give ourselves. The other thing I found that was really fun and helpful is to join a Facebook group. There are a lot of empty nester Facebook groups out there. A lot of them are very supportive. They put up quotes, they put up stories. You don't feel so alone. You don't feel like you're crazy, right? Because there's all these other moms out there going, oh, this is horrible, this is terrible. And part of it is, let's face it. I found that to be helpful, to join a Facebook group and go in and out of that for support. Find other ways to stay connected with your child. It's very important that we don't make our children feel guilty. We don't make our children feel like they have to take care of us, that they need us. This is a great time to let go, but find other ways. Could you send them a card? Could you send them a note? Could you send them a care package? I know when my son went off to college, I put little notes in his suitcase. I'm not sure he thought it was that cool, but it made me feel better. So do some things that might make you feel better. Maybe they have their favorite muffin shop and you send them muffins, or you have something delivered to them, or you surprise them with something. I know my son's first year, I would send him something via Amazon. Once a month, I'd surprise him and send him something fun and that I thought he could use. So you can stay connected with them in other ways. It doesn't have to always be them calling you, them paying attention to you. Think about how you can pay attention to them and serve them in a new way and in a different way, in a really healthy way that builds your relationship. Remember, you're both spreading your wings right now. So give your child the gift of being able to spread his or her wings, right? And lead by example. If they see you dealing with this in a positive way, that speaks volumes to them about who you are as a person. They're going to respect you more. They're going to want you in their life more. If you are miserable and sad and all you have to do is, I miss you, and you're very needy and you're very wanting, this child is an adult and they're not going to be attracted to that. You could even push them away, which is the last thing that we want to do. So let them be part of moving this relationship forward, and let them help figure out what works for both of you. Don't be the one that's dictating, what you need and what you want, and that's not going to work for them. And along the same lines, determine the method and the frequency and how you guys are going to stay in contact. And I really recommend you do this before they leave. My son was in Jordan all summer, and so what we said is every Tuesday morning we'll have a Zoom call for 15 minutes. He could plan it, we could plan it, and we got to connect with him and have really a great conversation. So remember that if they're going off to college, they have a schedule, they know it, and it's not hard for them to say, let's talk every Friday at 10, or let's do this, or let's do that. I would avoid texting them all the time. It's very nerve-wracking for them, for you to be texting them all the time. I would avoid the interrogation method. You know, what are you doing? Where are you going now? What's going on? I would also avoid a lot of questions about them dating or seeing people. That's also going to make them want to push you away. You know, who are you seeing? Did you meet anybody? Blah, 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 blah. This is a time where they really need to process things, and they can't process the feelings, the emotions, and all the stuff that's going on in their life if they have to explain it to you all the time. It's not going to work for them. Let them go, let them process everything. And that's an important part of where they are right now in their life. And that really, they will love you for that. They will love you for not asking them and interrogating them. And of course you want to know they're eating well. Of course you want to know they're studying. Of course you want to know the basic things. But be careful about interrogating them and asking too many personal questions. Remember, this is a very tough time for them. This is a huge adjustment for them to be away from you, to be at school. They've got the school pressure on them. They've got social pressures on them. They may be pledging for fraternities or sororities, their sports. This is a huge amount of pressure for them. What they really need from you is your love and your support. They need your love and your support. You, mom and dad, have done a wonderful job raising this child, and they are off on their own. And you need to respect them, and you need to love them, and they need to know that you're going to support them in their decisions and some of the ways that they're going about their lives. All right? That is the best advice that I could give any parent. A couple of other things. You might need a new identity. I did need a new identity. I was such a mom, and I had so much of my life wrapped around being a mom. And I really decided that I wanted to start a business, that I wanted to help women. And so that helped me immensely. A lot of people don't need that. They're just fine. But if your identity is grounded and rooted into things that you don't want anymore, then you can always hit the restart button. You can always have a new identity. You can always travel. You can always go take up a new hobby. You can always do whatever you want. You can change your life. Isn't it fabulous? It's so exciting. You can change your life. You can do different things. You can have more friends. You can have less friends. Do you want to change up your identity? That's really up to you. I actually have a video on it, podcast on creating a new identity. Some people, that's a really good thing for them to do as far as moving on with their life. So think about that. And the last thing, as far as really getting a handle on the empty nest syndrome, is let go of your regrets. This is a time, really, it's a happy time in your life. It's a happy time in their life. Don't be caught up in a lot of regrets. You know, I wish I would have spent more time with them. I wish I would have gone to that baseball game. I wish. Just leave it in the past. If you worked all the time and you were a single mom and you couldn't be there all the time for your child, that's okay. They have an enormous amount of respect for you that you worked all the time and you were a mom and you raised them. If you had a great career or you were super busy in your community and you're like, oh, I don't know if I spent enough time with them. I don't know about this. Let it go. Okay, that's going to hold you down in moving forward. Let go of the past. Let go of any regrets that you might feel or that might pop up, and say, you know what? I did a great job. I've got a great child, and they're going to fall down and they're going to get back up. And that's life. That's how life works. I hope that there have been a couple of tips in here that maybe have helped you with the empty nest syndrome. I know it can be hard. I've cried my eyes out. I'm not going to lie. But I can say on the other side, it's great. It's great to watch them grow. It's great to watch them to get married. It's amazing to have grandchildren. The life ahead of you and them is pretty spectacular. And so this is a new door. You get to walk through, they get to walk through. Walk through it together. Be there for them and be supportive. And don't let them see you cry all the time. You don't want to make them sad. You want them to know you are happy for them. I am here for you if you want to comment on below. If you want to reach out to me, I understand it's a tough time, but trust me, it'll get better. It'll get easier. And I hope that I will see you soon. Bye, loves.